The next big patch for Enshrouded is now live, and with this video we're going to be going over all of those changes so that way you guys know what's going on. The patch itself is mainly focused on bug fixes and tweaks, however they have done something really cool here. They've basically solved the problem of arrow crafting. I know if you guys have watched my other videos on Enshrouded, you know as much as I do that I feel like the big drawback for playing an arrow build is just how long it takes to craft arrows all the time, so they've definitely fixed that problem with this new patch. And like always, before we begin, if you guys would do me a huge favor and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, so the first set of changes are going to be for the stability and performance of the game. The first one here is that they say that they fixed several rare crashes, so hopefully the game should not be crashing as much on you when you're just playing the game and random things happen. And then it looks like here they have added some more security to the saving process to avoid issues when saving, and better protection to the save game in cases of failure. So basically what this means is that there's going to be a lower chance of having a saved corruption or anything crazy like that. Reduced the CPU load for idle servers. I think this one is mainly focused for dedicated servers, but this is basically going to make it so that your server load is not going to be so heavily taxed when a lot of things are not happening. And this is a big one here, so they've improved the performance of large player bases and large crop fields. So no longer are you guys going to have to worry about having a giant base or just a massive farm, and it's gonna you're worried that it's gonna lag out the game, right? So this should put some of those players with those bigger bases at ease. Your game's gonna run a lot better now. Moving on to multiplayer and servers. So they've fixed an issue that could prevent joining a server when the previous session was cancelled or crashed. I personally never experienced this issue, but I have heard from some people that have, so it's good that they fixed this. Moving on to the game world, it looks like they have redistributed roaming enemies into several areas for improved balancing. This seems like it's going to be a really nice change. Hopefully that means we're not going to be getting jumped by like 20 random mobs at a time. Fixed more cases of enemies with incorrect levels for the region that they're found in. So hopefully this means that we're not going to see like a level 15 in a level 6 zone or something like that. This next one's kind of funny, so they fixed an issue where a flame altar near a shroud root could lead to the fog in the world disappearing, and they put in quotation marks here, "This is not how you're meant to save Embervale." This next one's a really good one, so this one is, the game now prevents save points from being activated when they're in the Deadly Shroud. I know this is going to fix an issue where certain players were stuck kind of like in a death loop. Every time they respawned, they would just pop back up in the death area and then they just could not get away. This is kind of a weird one, so fix an issue that could lead to wax and honey spawning in the player base without having to harvest a hive first. That kind of sounds like an awesome bug. I wish that happened to me. Polished several points of interest. So this just means that a bunch of areas in the game they've kind of gone over and made them look nicer. Tweak the sound of vultures. We heard you and them loud and clear. So it looks like they've changed the sound of the vultures because apparently a lot of people were getting really annoyed with that. Fixed several issues with incorrect ambient sounds. Fixed an issue with music in dungeons being muted after combat, and this is one that I'm really glad to hear is being fixed because the music in this game is amazing. And then they're fixing the timings of the traps and spires in multiplayer sessions. So I feel like this is probably an issue with latency and, players getting frustrated when they're trying to play with their friends, and, they're just getting destroyed by these traps, so that's good. Okay, moving on to gameplay. Fixed cases where the saving of crops when quitting and restarting the game world did not work properly. This is going to be a really good change. I feel like a lot of farmer players out there are going to be happy about this one. Increase the stamina cost for the jump attack. So I'm not a fan of this one, mainly because of the two-handed weapon build. The jump attack, in my opinion, was kind of like the best way to, or the most efficient way to do AoE damage. So in some cases, I would basically just spam the jump attack over and over to kill a bunch of mobs that are kind of all huddled around my character. And they don't say here how much they're increasing it to, but I feel like we're probably not going to be able to spam it anymore, so that's just really unfortunate. Fixed an issue where players climbing on walls or ladders could interfere with each other, even though it was funny. Now, I didn't experience this one personally, but it sounds to me like you guys were having too much fun with this. The water aura no longer heals the player when dead. That kind of makes sense. So you archer/ranger build players are going to be really happy about these changes here. First up, they're reducing the amount of twigs needed to craft arrows. Then they're also increasing the yield of twigs from grown bushes, and then also increasing the yield of feathers from all sources. So with these three changes, it's going to make crafting arrows way easier, and I feel like it's definitely more viable as a way to play the game now, and you're not going to have to spend so much time just farming materials to replace arrows. And it looks like they've reduced the amount of flax needed to craft high-end armor sets. This is a really good change. I felt like it was kind of crazy how much flax was required to craft some of these armor sets, and in my opinion, it kind of made crafting armor pointless. All the armor sets that I found in the game, I just got from going out and looting chests. It looks like they're also reducing the amount of resources needed to craft decorative blocks, so it looks like you're not going to spend so much time having to farm materials if you want to make some really cool looking buildings. Speaking of blocks, Castle blocks now have the same maximum stack size of 5,000 like other building blocks, so I think that was just kind of a bug. They also fixed some cases where open doors would block arrows or other projectiles, and then they're also fixing some rare cases when looted weapons had incorrect item levels. Two things that I did not experience personally, but I'm glad they're fixed. And then lastly, the construction hammer no longer allows cutting holes into the unbreakable materials like the foundational bedrock material at the bottom of the world. And that's good because we don't want people falling through the world. And that is going to conclude this video for patch 2 of Enshrouded. Before you guys go, let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are on these patch notes. And if you guys would like to support me in the work that I do here, the best way to do that is to click that join button at the top of my channel. It really helps me out and it only costs $1. Thanks again for watching, I really appreciate it. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one.